to do what? To sacrifice them to the Lord. Oh, what an excuse, right? He was kind of compromising because he got caught in the act. And he knew that what he did was wrong. And how many of us do that, huh? Oh, I was doing it just to help people out, right? And he says, I'm going to sacrifice the Lord to the Lord your God. But we totally destroyed the rest. You say, we destroyed the rest, but we saved these because we're going to go sacrifice to the Lord. I don't know. I don't think that was the reason why he saved them. But he got caught, so he wanted to make excuses. Enough, Samuel said to Saul. Let me tell you what the Lord said to me last night. Oh, tell me. Samuel said, although you were once small in your own eyes. Get this now. Being small in your own eyes is being, he was a humble person at first. Did you not become the head of the tribes of Israel? The Lord anointed you king over Israel. And he sent you on a mission, saying, go and completely, do you know what completely means? So, do you know what that means? Completely? Destroy those wicked people, the Amalekites, wage war against them until you have what? Annihilated them, right? Wipe them out. Why did you not obey the Lord? Why did you pounce on the plunder and do evil in the eyes of the Lord? But I did obey the Lord, Saul says. I went on the mission the Lord assigned me. I completely destroyed the Amalekites and brought back Agag, your king. So here's he's saying that he did. He's lying right to Samuel, right? That he completely destroyed the Amalekites. Well, if you brought back the king, you didn't completely. I mean, you see how we can be when we are caught with a hand in a cookie jar. We try to make excuses, and you know, the person that's addressing what you have done knows exactly what you're saying. You're making excuses for your wrongdoing. The soldiers took sheep and cattle from the plunder, the best of what was devoted to God, in order to sacrifice them to the Lord your God at Gilgal. Now, I don't think the soldiers intended or told Saul that we're going to save the best of the cattle and we're going to go sacrifice that to God. But how many times when people get caught lying, they make up excuses and lie about what other people did just to appease whoever caught them in the act of disobedience. But Samuel replied, does the Lord delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices as much as in obeying the Lord? To obey is better than sacrifice, and to heed is better than the fat of rams. You see, it doesn't matter if we give $1,000 a month to him, or even $100 a month. Whatever, we think we're doing great when we just say, God is yours, you know. But we don't obey his word. We don't keep his commandment. You know, God probably thinks that is like filthy rags that you present to him, even though you think it's the best. When you don't obey God, he rejects your sacrifice because your heart is not right. He will accept a sacrifice if your heart has been obedient to his commandments. For rebellion is like the sin of divination and arrogance, like the evil of idolatry, because you have rejected the word of the Lord. He has rejected you as king. Woo! Can you imagine being King Saul? And Samuel saying, God has rejected you. What do you think Saul felt? He knows that he did wrong, right? Then Saul said to Samuel, "Ah, I have sinned. I violated the Lord's commands and your instructions. Now I was afraid of the men, so I gave in to them." He got his hand caught in the cookie jar, and so now he's making excuses. Do we do that?
Yes.
When we're caught in the act of sin? Oh God, it's because of, right? God knows the truth. He says, "No, I beg you, forgive my sin and come back with me so that I may worship the Lord." You know what worship is? Not offering sacrifices, not coming to church every Sunday, not going to Bible study. If your heart is not right, all these things you're doing is not worship. Your heart has to be right in order for it to be pleasing to God. But Samuel said to him, "I will not go back with you. You have rejected the word of the Lord, and the Lord has rejected you as king over Israel." As Samuel turned to leave, Saul caught a hold of the hem of his robe and tore it. And Samuel said to him, "The Lord has torn the kingdom of Israel from you today, and has given it to one of your neighbors, to one better than you." Ooh! Can you see this person with his pride and arrogance? And he said, "You are going down. You're going down because this person is going to take over because you did not obey." How are you guys doing? Have you been obedient to his word? Is God telling you something and you have walked away the other direction? He who is the glory of Israel does not lie or change his mind, for he is not a human being that he should change his mind. Saul replied, "I have sinned, but please honor me before the elders of my people and before Israel. Come back with me so that I may worship the Lord your God." Notice he didn't say, "My God." He said, "Your God." So he still doesn't realize what he's saying. He's rejecting God. He's saying, "Your God." So Samuel went back with Saul, and Saul worshiped the Lord. Then Samuel said, "Bring me Agag, king of the Amalekites." Agag came to him in chains, and he thought, "Surely the bitterness of death is past." But Samuel said, "As your sword has made women childless, so will your mother be childless among women." And Samuel put Agag to death before the Lord at Gilgal. There's consequences for not obeying the Lord. Then Samuel left Ramah, but Saul went up to his home in Gibeah of Saul. Until the day Samuel died, he did not go and see Saul again, though Samuel mourned for him. And the Lord regretted that he had made Saul king over Israel. That's just one story of how a person that disobeys God has consequences for their actions. In 2 Corinthians, the 10th chapter, it says, "By the humility and gentleness of Christ, I, Paul, who am timid." Now, how many of you consider Paul as timid? Not the Apostle Paul?
Not really.
But he himself had this humility that he would keep on saying, like, "I am the worst of sinners.
Right.
I am timid when face to face with you. But both to you when..." Oh wait, how many of us can do that? When you're in the presence of somebody, you can You can be humble and you can be timid, but when you're away, you know, you can say anything, right? Because they don't hear what you're saying. He said, I beg you that when I come, I may not have to be as bold as I expect to be towards some people who think that I live by the standards of this world. For though we live in the world, we do not wage war as the world does. The weapons we fight with are not the weapons of the world. On the contrary, they have divine power to demolish strongholds. We demolish arguments and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God, and we take captive some of the thoughts in our mind.
Every thought.
What does that mean to be taking every thought captive and making it obedient to Christ? Is that easy to do? You see how important obedience is? Every thought. Where does your mind go throughout the day? What is on your mind? What do you think about? Is it honoring God? Your thoughts? Or are you taking every single thing you think about all day long, taking it captive in obedience to Christ? And we will be ready to punish every act of disobedience once your obedience is complete. I pray that we understand what it means to be obedient to Christ. Do we really comprehend what God expects out of every single one of us? Total devotion. Unfailing love. Because He has unfailing love for you. That's what He desires from each and every one of us. Is to love Him back like He loves us. And we do that by being obedient to His word. What happens when we slip up? Are we done for? We stop and take that thought captive, repent, and keep on moving. And sometimes that's a daily process, sometimes it's an hourly process, or even minute by minute, when we are walking through this earth. Because we have a destroyer that's, if we're doing the right thing, he wants to take you down. And the only way that we can take every thought captive is by staying in His Word and giving it all to Jesus. This is an older song called Give Them All to Jesus.